Hi everyone, this presentation is going to talk about a negotiation regarding new workplace agreement between MUA and Patrick Corporation. Our team members have Siyuan, Runyu, Yixing, and Henshu. Here's a table of contents. This presentation will be divided into following 5 aspects. First of all, I will give you an introduction. The theme of this presentation is union management strategy based on Patrick and MUA's real case. Then we'll discuss the relevant theories and models of this case and make a correlation analysis based on the case to show the deep understanding of the dispute and the negotiation process. Then let's move on to the background and explore more details. In 2016, Patrick, the National Stevedore and MUA, the Maritime Union of Australia, had been negotiating a new enterprise agreement covering 4 of the company's container terminal workers for more than 12 months. The union wants Patrick to pay its members 35 hours wage for 32 hours of work. What is seen as a return to the pain of automation. Over the past 2 years, Patrick Stevedores has reduced Porter's botany position from 440 to 260 because of automation. And MUA has asked Patrick to rehire 60 of the 200 workers who lost their jobs as a result of automated testing. Patrick Company considered MUA's claim unreasonable and tries to propose an alternative agreement. The botany port was locked and sealed after the alternative agreement was opposed. The MUA responded by launching a 48-hour streak on the East Coast against Patrick. In response to the MUA's escalating industrial action and threats, Patrick applied to the Fair Work Commission for a suspension of industrial action. In this content, Vice President Booth began working with both sides to build on FWC's new approach initiative, advocating an interest-based approach to negotiation rather than a position bargaining approach that focuses first on needs and concerns, what really matters to people and build trust. As a result of this negotiation, MUA and Patrick Stevedore signed a new agreement to the satisfaction of both parties. Then let's move on to the next part, the theoretical basis.
Our case analysis is based on some theoretical foundations, models, and strategies. These include collective bargaining wage theory, monotheism and pluralism, management rights model and effective negotiation model, position bargaining, and interest-based bargaining. Next, let me briefly introduce these theories. Collective bargaining wage theory is a typical theory under the development of trade unions. Most economists point out that collective bargaining wage theory is a widely used and effective theory, and many wage agreements are indeed reached through collective bargaining. Monotheism is a view that enhances that all employees in an organization have only one common interest. Pluralism is the opposite of monotheism. Pluralism recognizes that various employee groups have different requirements and interests. In the study of trade union negotiation models, it's found that the models related to trade union negotiations can basically be attributed to 2 basic models, the management rights model and the effective negotiation model. However, many simulation experiments show that the 2 models are difficult to balance the impact between wages and employment. Positional bargaining is a kind of negotiation strategy, and it's also the first strategy that people usually use in negotiation. Through the process of bargaining, this strategy continues to consolidate and strengthens one's position and has reached the final expected result. Interest-based bargaining is another strategy in negotiation. It's a negotiation strategy based on meeting the needs of both parties and achieve a win-win situation. It's actually a supplement to positional bargaining. Next, let's welcome Yixing to give us some analysis.
Thanks, Ray. In Patrick and MUA's case, the root cause of conflict was the company's extensive use of automation equipment, so that some employees were losing their jobs and facing a reduction of their working hours. According to the theory of collective bargaining, wages are determined by the balance of power between labor and management. During the long and complex negotiations, Patrick and MUA were trying to demonstrate their influence and power to each other. The 2 sides kept pressuring each other in the negotiations and have used the last weapon, which are strike and lockout. Mutual pressure may lead to concessions from the other side, while improper pressure may lead to greater resistance. MUA required the company to hire an additional 50 workers to make up for the lost hours, which is defined in collective bargaining wages theory as labor union restrictions on labor supply. MUA considered their proposal cost neutral and believed fewer hours might help it retain more employees. However, Patrick does not seem to accept that the proposal is cost neutral. The proposal means higher labor cost for the company, which may force Patrick to cut costs in other ways. Next slide, please. According to the theory of pluralism, conflict between employees and employers in an organization is inevitable because they have different goals and requirements. In their conflict resolution, Patrick and MUA did not properly consider each other's interests, making it difficult to achieve a win-win outcome. MUA required Patrick to pay 35 hours wages to employees who worked 32 hours a week, which violated Patrick's fundamental intent to reduce hours, so that the company could not agree to this provision. Similarly, Patrick did not properly consider the interest of workers. Most workers' names are not added to a fixed roster, which makes their work less stable and methodical. Now let's welcome Hanshu to analyze more to us.
Thanks, Yixin, and I'm going to make a brief analysis on Patrick and MUA's models and strategies. During the negotiation process between Patrick and MUA, the model of effective negotiation was applied, and it has also proved to be effective to a certain extent. The Deputy President Booth from the Fair Work Commission introduced that it is very crucial to understand the real needs of both parties, and claim has nothing to do with the successful outcomes. For example, if employees want a 5% increase on their payment, then the union representatives should explain the current wage situation, what pressure the workers are facing, and compare living standards with overhead expenses. As Renyu mentioned before, this effective negotiation model emphasizes the need for labor development. Only when both parties understand each other's needs can more effective negotiations be facilitated. Next slide, please. As Booth described, the union chose to apply interest-based bargaining instead of positional bargaining in the negotiation process. Unlike the positional bargaining, this strategy aims to consider all the parties' interests. Based on the fact that there have been many disputes between employees and employers, like the salary issue, working hours, and layoffs caused by automation. If applied the positional bargaining, the conflicts might be easily intensified. The general managers from Patrick all agreed that the interest-based bargaining was a new approach for them. During the negotiation, they found that union and the company indeed have a shared interest, which is a steady and productive course. Both parties contributed to finding possible solutions to meet common interests, and after experiencing over 13 failed collective bargaining, they finally made progress on reaching an agreement. As the manager from Patrick mentioned, employees seem to be more engaged in the work, and Patrick's cargo operations are gradually returning to normal. Next slide, please. In conclusion, when selecting the union negotiation strategy, it is necessary to comprehensively consider the factors and indicators of employees in the enterprise and the needs of labor force development, so as to clarify the needs of all parties. A good strategy should not only focus on resolving current disputes, but also stabilize bilateral relations and safeguard the long-term development of the organization. Here are some references for our presentation, and thank you very much for your time.